Which animated film do you think is the hope for the rise of the country? In 2019, a Purpose was born in Japan. New Day, 10,000 people scored a high score of 8.4, and a classic line runs through the entire film. Ouch, don't hold. It is fun. The whole story also starts from a member, Jew. It is said that thousands of years ago, UAA proposed that the spiritual energy of heaven and earth has become a tube at a time. In order to subdue a Khan, who originally sent 2 apprentices every day to say that one was because of Nun Haiti Zumrin, and the other was both. It's the rich and noble son, it's the bulletin. I now hears. When the official showed his shyness, the committee turned into a huge monster. He raised his hand and sent one person out, and finally reported that he was healthy. Did lightning get up with the dollar for 5 years, but it didn't take a while, also related too. Faye also has an article about playing in Hong Kong and meeting my handsome face. The judge put on a stance, saying that you touched the relevant fist, and then gave a whistle to exchange the dust, as if the fists were firmly entangled. Immediately afterwards, he made a very excessive request. It is no wonder that he has never heard such an unreasonable request. In order to satisfy him, if you see the scene with both hands, you have directly deceived the rescuer about leisure this year. He also took the time to theorize with his own hair. But the next second, because of love, Luo fell from the sky, and these hold a can. Is it just sky justice? Blame the expert's alchemy furnace and turn it into 2 beads. Immediately only have advanced retention, and 600 million grams are all evil. After grinding the Catholic summer exposure, I was going to destroy it 3 years later. Today, I put 2 beads into the bolian, and then handed it over to Ji Zongren, and asked him to talk about advanced democracy with Li Jing later. The son completed the task of defending, and let him not say whether the gods of the 12 today are so partial to the brothers and sisters, but he did not dare to have any complaints on the surface. Yin Xinyang, who was 3 years pregnant, pointed out that when the United States gave birth to a son, in order to have a smooth birth rate, she took her wife to the temple to burn incense and worship Buddha every day, praying for the early birth of her son. Wu Nakian, Yuanshan Golden Light Cave. Unexpectedly, this explosion turned out to be a godlike stuffing. Today, I just said the newly added birth period. He has this time to calculate and prepare to be happy Bolian. But at this moment, the housekeeper suddenly broke in, and she reported the current defense with Ju Tai in her arms. He also admitted that although he refused on the surface, maybe the country passed by, he picked up the wine jar and drank it directly, and the vaccine was the most enjoyable. It didn't take long for me to come to the Dharma field, just to see the butler's wealth, and this to you real person. Just type it out, it won't be the original plan for me. Us. Hearing that his old friend was already reluctant, he directly punched him in the same stomach with a combination of punches. In this way, he spit out the wine. He also looked at Bao Lian with a serious face, but he never made a move. He tried several times in a row and failed to open it. Pauline felt that when he long pressed the book, I even opened it automatically. It turns out that Bolian has a fingerprint function. Just when she was about to take out the initial 0, the housekeeper diverted his attention. At this time, the Jin caught the housekeeper, and he also witnessed that the country had a puppet blessing on his back for several years. At this time, the midwife took out the lead, and he was brought back under control. Immediately afterwards, the broken plate membrane was placed on the roulette, and I wanted to stop it, but it was too late. The weight is beautiful air all got into his wife's stomach. Such a child has never been seen. About birth, the family was disturbed. It was in flames all over its body, and then it grew numbers and feet and developed everything around it. Finally, I felt that he had these. When Chuan from Nantao County came out of middle school on the first day of the new year, and the situation was difficult. He lived for so long. It wasn't that he always escaped no matter what he did. Today, he is heading for the disparity. He can only hang it around his neck after locking it up. Can be long, with Li Jing blocking. At this moment, the downstairs was suddenly exposed, causing the 2 most not to be at his side to come forward again to ask to get rid of Wu Jins and the woman. Come out. This energy here is a monster. They hope that Li Jing and his wife will kill their relatives righteously. At this time, you stand up and click on the future. I will take good care of that Jang, and don't let her go out of the house. Half. This time, the real T also told the truth. The reporter now saves her life, and he will not survive for 3 years. Because Yunshe Tianzin ended at the end of the day when the wooden board was listed on the market. Hearing the news, my mother almost fainted and told me to go. Ask Chant for help. In the blink of an eye, the farm has grown up, but he doesn't play with power, so Jingli can only keep it at home. On this day, when his mother was worried about explosives, Liao suggested that the papers with him should be flat buildings, as a terrified person. Expression. Being able to stand firmly and touch the paper, I really played with fireworks. I don't think it's time to suggest that he start the talk. Don't wear. Vaccinate. To the United States. After a long time, my mother was sweating profusely. Maybe seeing his son so happy, all the tiredness disappeared. At this time, the soldiers rushed in anxiously. It turned out that they were worried and went out, so don't let the rich go to support. The energy is robust and gradually becomes unhappy. The mother wanted to comfort Kang, but he didn't fight at all, and the mother's hand jumped on the dangerous bridge alone. The most mother left and ran to the door to provoke. Before the end of the Tuli festival, they scuffled together, and how terrifying was it that they could walk out of the interview blackmail with ease? Or hearing his voice can make everyone uneasy. On the other side, a group of children are discussing how to damage the account, and they are discussing countermeasures. 11 younger brothers came in and said that the trap he had set up was mainly Lin Chan and would fall when he reached the wooden bridge, and then the punishment organ was overjoyed when he heard that the plan had fallen. But at this moment, the operation partners thought of a loophole most. How can they make a wooden bridge on the table? I feel like everyone doesn't know what to do. It was the little boy who suddenly cancelled the mask. It turned out that he was able to grow children for free for 4 years and scare them away. In this way, they tried all the tricks a little. The child was so mad that the hypothetical monster in Malaysia was furious. Hearing someone scolded him, he kicked a stone in a fit of anger. Arrived. When I got back to my father, I had to keep it in the room of Sister Ma, who only got to his room, but that little interview was so difficult. He was wandering around the house, and VJ found an ink painting, which he called and sucked in at the slightest touch of his hand. After a while, the defecation came to an advanced and protesting soldier, so after waiting here for a long time, he took out a writing brush and stroked the tree lightly. The benefits instantly turned into a wooden boat. A long experience of fantasy rafting. It turned out that he also thought the same way. He was not interested in accepting him as a disciple at all, he just ignored it. There is no way to pay attention to this for sure, and I turned a pair of grass into my mouth to show that I saw this scene and got this 4-year interest. So he was also a young man. He took the subway and handed the formula to Reng, and let him practice on his own, and then he became dazed. After an unknown amount of time, the First Lady came to see her son, but the energy disappeared. Suddenly, when they saw it in the water, it could really see it, so they jumped down quickly, beat him up and hugged him, then gave him artificial respiration, and the diarrhea became bigger and bigger, and finally it exploded directly. Don't walk, use the service, and this is actually a prank of NTU. His phone index rescue deceived the real TU. At this moment, Some opened his treasure bag and found a rocket gun. He met Touch the Organ, ignited last year. Pants. Finally, Li Jing arrived in time and was putting out the flames. At this time, his mother gave him, and some of him believed that the donation was mainly for magic, and it could not kill demons and eliminate demons. Netherlands too. The villagers regarded him as a monster. How could he help the villagers to kill the demons and eliminate the demons? In desperation, his father had to coax him into being able to grow. Reincarnated person. He is one. Under the coaxing of his parents, he still finally believed that he was the reincarnation of Lin Zhu and how powerful the fully armed energy was. Even 2 years of energy growth has become very powerful. However, not only did the houses he destroyed during the exercise immediately reach many villagers, but in order to allow them to practice, his father sped up his weapons and mistyped whether or not to rest that day, which might make some people feel unwilling to go out. So he smuggled away the master's brush, ran out by himself, saw that it was a little kid, and made a relentless expression. As a result, Luo Zhan knocked him to the ground in the next second, and then said that it was related to flying it out with one foot. He was afraid of being beaten. Did he run away easily? So I chased after him closely, and I hope to capture a little girl in the vote, and still enjoy the fire attack to lure the developer to the point where the girl can't do anything, just follow behind. Just as she meant, the table began to freeze rapidly, and the other butt was directly on the ice. At this moment, a person beside him slowly landed, and the child was right. I say you. Sun Mingwen achieved it with 3 punches and 2 feet. When I felt that it was going to be solved faster, suddenly one didn't save up and then got into a big hand in something. Thinking of getting in, I gave the girl to a girl. Blame the round. I did it in between, and then added a non-kick to get the people around me out. At this moment, the mysterious man stood up, still dissatisfied with the 51. In this fight, people didn't get the money they wanted, and they looked at his Dupont first. It turned out that he was the son of King Lu. When Pancake went to the fight, he quickly protruded and ran, and still touched it curiously. If the team leader is told the truth in the next second, it turns out that there is a prominent bubble. As long as he is touched, he will be told the truth. It's just that the two have been surrounded by Dad. And at this moment, if of course their faces pushed the little girl into her stomach, seeing this scene, she would be angry. Judgment who Germany all bubbles, and then punched directly. He took a belly, played up and down a second, and revealed the girl. But the girl has already told the truth. Even the body of the medicine has become a stone building. It is his book, which includes all the bubbles. If the strong spit out the bubbles again, more construction will hurry up and use it as a shield. The medicine was thrown out again. It can be briefly smeared on Obi with a gun. It didn't take long for their bodies to return to normal. In order to thank the energy for saving his life, Chi-Bin gave him a conch. As long as there is a conch, Abian will appear. After finishing speaking, the Abian left the seaside. When the villagers arrived, they only saw Nengzhen and the little girl. They thought they could be kidnapped. The girls aren't blaming about making him want to make it a relationship. It turned out that at this time, Li Jing and his wife felt that in order to appease the villagers, they had to keep the one at home. Today was his birthday, but he was not happy at all. Living in the new bulletin just now is here to tell him that he is not determined, but that he can get such a long life after grinding. How can he not be happy? He was also given to him as a birthday present by Japan's Toyota United Rockets, and he also gave his mount to Nondahang Farm. 3 years in the blink of an eye. Do you really want to start making an impact? At this time, can reach the eyes already filled with tears. The father loves for the mother and the two, that is, as a peace talisman for others. He told that the road to long results is still noisy, don't care about other people's view. This year, Those who can make the circle of reading mantras and incantations bear fruit. Can. Chang completely lost consciousness and fought with his father. He could only control the dust, and he helped so much, but after removing the copy, Chang's law greatly increased. He believed that the witness was not an opponent at all, and he had been taken into the air, which would allow users to use it every day. He tied up and put his father into the rocket gun. A mysterious force killed everyone, and it turned out that it was stopped by fierce soldiers. Li Jing, Hu Yan, and Lin Wade returned to the boss casually. The people fought fiercely, and the fault blocked the rocket gun and gave birth to Chen Kui Circle. Toy couldn't stop sealing it. He wanted to run, but it was too late. The money was completely trapped. Neng Kang then brought 40 points around his neck, and Neng Kang finally regained his senses. In order to stop hurting his family, he left home in the Beacon Rule without looking back. The veteran who was relieved of the crisis wanted to leave, but Li Jing appeared in a cloak in the west of the instrument. Everyone saw the Olympic-wearing feet, and he also saw it as a witness to his blame. As soon as he stepped onto the Zero Storage and Transportation, he suddenly realized that he was actually the reincarnation of the Lord, and at this moment, the final report came out. He bewitched the soldiers. As long as everyone on the two sides went to the county spirit, they would not be known by the heavenly court. Therefore, the fierce soldiers resorted to the trial, because all the boiling water was in the sky above Chentang Pass, and he wanted to destroy everything here. You can never imagine what a father could do in order to save his son. When the year was explained, he rushed to the empty house and did not ask Tiantian to lift Tiantian's interception, but Tiantian and the officials who were in charge did not know when they would be able to come out. At this time, the fisherman often told him that there were other ways. He said that as long as the picture blessing is attached to the serum when God comes, it will naturally be transferred to another person. In order to make Li Tang Hui's great to you real person face, I have decided to use one with alongside. He says. And Nona finally knew that her father had been protecting her all the time. Her father had made his peace talisman, and the official life-changing talisman had something wrong in it. The judicial office wanted to destroy Chentangan, and Jeff had to be stopped, so he was frozen into ice cubes. At the 5th level, he could earn it back, and he lifted the freeze on his parents. This forum let him still not know what happened, whether to tell him that it was led by the communique, and let it become Albing. In order not to let him know that they were going to kill everyone who visited the city, and in order to be like their parents, some villagers still joined the fight. But I didn't expect the newspaper to report that his feet took it in together. She also said that the brush enhanced the export script was a communique to stop the situation. The feet were reduced to less than he casually, and cracks appeared on the ground, and they fell directly. This time, the people outside the painting looked unfounded. The energy at the time of crisis finally drew out the exit, and even returned to the real event. The fault floated into the air and formed a giant dragon. After stepping on the photo, he still went to be an official, and it was at stake. Delaney stands with. The sun and the moon are the same, the mind will always be able to. The hit released half of the Moan energy, and then rushed to the sky and the ice wall desperately pushed up. It was very strong. In fact, I was able to hit down, and I used all my strength to get out 3 heads and 6 arms, and put the top of the wall on the table. Go back. And then you are disintegrated from the 3 governments in the wall in an instant. We wanted to escape, but the rockets tied a piece of flame and rushed in, but it didn't hurt. Back to the ground again. But I felt that the sky happened again at this time. After listening to it, I soon came to Lin, and after he came back, the expert parents tied up. No, over there. That everyone picture, Fox said it was burnt to ashes. There is one left chest radiograph. He was ready to die. Before leaving, Nuodigo thanked his parents for their 3-year upbringing. Immediately after, Nengdigo was sucked into the sky, and the sky is likely to replace him. Suddenly, an official flashed OK, and also got into the sky. I don't want you to be friends all the time. When people's hands are held together, the model in their bodies can produce the energy that reflects the paste and absorb all the energy, and then push the sky back. Employee energies collide, directly in the air. Explode. But these flew into the air, Zhang Bolian opened it, and then pretended to be aggressive. After a period of pessimism, everything returned to calm. China was looking for it in the ruins. At this time, the mother found the 7-seat Bolian, and Huo Lianhuo also opened it, and the ghosts of blackmail and the Olympics appeared. It turned out that the deviation ruined their sleep. But Bao Lian helped each other's souls and finally managed to save Chen Danghua. The beauty of the people is also likely to be able to speak. Why did C destroy the car, and why did the corrupt officials use it? The story of the Zakui will start from the Dragon Palace in the East China Sea. You have never seen such a dragon palace. Not only does it have no water, but it is also full of monsters who are the deepest guards in charge of events that have been arranged by Rong Zubai for thousands of years along the river. They are also eager to show up, in order to inherit the road network first, let the daily life report suddenly lead out, and then he spit out a dragon that is very difficult, as small as several years. 3 years have passed since Lumen's package major, and his problems have grown up. When he first published it, he met Nenkang, who didn't know each other, and even became each other's only good friends, but he seemed to tell him that it was the devil. When the festival came, certain evening parties started killing and detoxifying. At that time, as long as you went to the head of the building, you could make a contribution to the heaven and join the prejudice whether the dragon palace could escape from the bottom of the sea. The conference turned into a big map that was difficult